Most people fear being alone. You don't. And that is exactly why you stand out. Society teaches people to crave constant noise, approval, validation, and company. But when you pull away from the crowd, something unusual happens. You begin to activate the same psychological traits that powerful strategists, leaders, rulers, and Machiavellian minds mastered centuries ago. You don't just enjoy being alone, you prefer it. And whether you realize it or not, that preference reveals 5 rare traits that make you fundamentally different from the average person. Traits that make the world slightly uneasy around you. Traits that give you an advantage most people will never possess. Traits that Machiavelli himself would consider a quiet form of power. Today, I will show you those 5 traits, not to flatter you, but to reveal the strategic architecture behind your nature. If you prefer being alone, these Machiavellian strengths are the real reason. Let's begin.
Strength 1. You are immune to social manipulation. He who depends on others becomes their prisoner. Machiavelli. Most people live in a jungle of insecurity. They change their opinions to fit in. They soften their personality to avoid conflict. They agree with nonsense just to avoid standing out. But not you. You prefer the clarity of solitude over the chaos of forced company. And that gives you one of the rarest forms of psychological armor. You cannot be easily manipulated. Here's why. People who hate being alone will do anything to stay accepted. They will bend their morals, compromise their identity, hide their strengths, ignore their instincts, even betray themselves just to remain inside a group. But you don't need the group. You don't depend on the crowd. And because you don't depend on them, you cannot be controlled by them. This is why people who prefer solitude often intimidate others without even trying. You're unpredictable. You're not afraid to walk away. You don't need validation, approval, or recognition to survive. In Machiavellian psychology, that makes you dangerous, because the person who can walk away holds the strongest position. People may not say it out loud, but they feel it. You are not desperate. You are not hungry for attention. You are not controlled by social pressure. This makes you ungovernable.
Strength 2. Your mind is a weapon sharpened in silence. The wise man does in the beginning what the fool does in the end. Machiavelli. Most people fear silence because silence exposes their empty mind. They need noise to distract themselves from their own thoughts. Music, parties, social media, endless conversation, constant stimulation. But you can sit in your own company without losing yourself. And that ability turns your mind into a weapon. When you think alone, you don't just think. You analyze. You observe patterns. You remember details. You connect information in ways others simply cannot. This is why history's sharpest minds preferred solitude. Leonardo da Vinci, Schopenhauer, Nietzsche, and yes, Machiavelli. Solitude sharpens your mental edges. It gives you clarity. It gives you foresight. It gives you strategy. While others waste their time avoiding silence, you use silence to prepare, to calculate, to strengthen your internal world. People think you're quiet. No, you're thinking. People think you're detached. No, you're observing. People think you're antisocial. No, you're studying everything they miss. Your solitude isn't loneliness, it's training. Strength 3. You don't reveal your power. which makes it stronger. Never reveal all of yourself. Machiavellian law. One of the greatest Machiavellian principles is this: the less people know about you, the harder you are to control. Most people overshare. They tell everyone their problems, their insecurities, their hopes, their fears, their emotions. Every detail becomes ammunition against them. But you are guarded. You live behind emotional walls that few can enter. Not because you're broken, but because you understand one truth: power survives in secrecy. When you prefer being alone, you naturally reveal less. Your goals, your thoughts, your vulnerabilities, your next move. You don't announce, you don't advertise, you don't broadcast your life. And this makes you hard to read, which makes you impossible to predict, which makes you, in the Machiavellian world, untouchable. Your silence forces people to respect you. It forces them to guess. It forces them to wonder what you're thinking, what you're planning, what you're capable of. And the human mind fears what it cannot understand. That's your advantage. Strength 4. You cannot be bought with cheap rewards. Men are driven by two forces: fear and desire. Machiavelli. Most people chase pleasure like children chasing shiny objects. They want compliments, attention, validation, being invited, being liked, social rewards. And because they want these things, they can be controlled. If someone can bait you with approval, they can manipulate you with disapproval. But not you. When you prefer being alone, you develop a type of psychological independence that money, status, attention, or social acceptance cannot easily buy. You don't need people's presence to feel real. You don't need their validation to feel valuable. You don't need their attention to feel alive. You are internally supplied. And this terrifies the kind of people who depend on external rewards just to function, especially manipulators. Manipulators hate people like you because they can't find a hook to control you. If you cannot be seduced by praise, and you cannot be threatened by isolation, you become a psychological fortress. There is no leash around your neck. There is no weakness for them to exploit. Your independence is your dominance. Strength 5. You are built for power, not popularity. It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. Machiavelli. Here is the truth most people never understand. The crowd does not produce leaders. The crowd produces followers. Leaders emerge from solitude, from thinking alone, from acting alone, from deciding alone. When you prefer isolation, you develop qualities the group does not: independence, discipline, self-control, strategic thinking, emotional detachment, decisiveness, clarity. People who need constant social stimulation are too distracted to cultivate these traits. They think they're social, but really, they're dependent. You, on the other hand, form identity in silence. You build strength without spectators. You sharpen your instincts without applause. This is why people sometimes treat you with caution. They can sense you're not built to follow. You're not built to obey. You're not built to submit. You're built to become someone whose presence cannot be ignored. Solitude didn't make you weak. It made you powerful. Not popular, but powerful. And Machiavelli always knew, popularity fades, power lasts. So if you prefer being alone, understand something. Your nature is not a flaw. It's not a weakness. It's not something to fix. It is the mark of a mind built for depth, not distraction. Strategy, not noise. Power, not approval. Most people drown in the crowd, but you rise in silence. And now you understand why.